The second part of this tutorial is to create a mountain range, okay, in the background. It's going to be a little bit different than the way we created this kind of craggy looking surface. The concept of this assignment is to have two different atmospheres. The atmosphere on the left side is going to be desert, and then the atmosphere on the right side is going to be mountains. So we want to make sure that when we draw our mountains using the EP curve, or sorry, the create polygon tool curve, that we have a nice kind of gradual, maybe hills, and then from the hills they go to the base of the mountain, and then the mountain gets much larger, and we've got the peaks, and maybe the peaks come down and go back to this hill shape. Alright, so again, we want to keep in mind our quad count when we're creating this shape. So if you guys would like to use the grease pencil tool, it's really easy to learn how to use. It's actually found under the word lighting, and then it's this little pencil tool. You have the pencil, you have a marker, and then you have the soft pencil. Okay, you can change the color here. The one thing that you can't do when you are using the grease pencil tool is move in and out, because if you zoom in and out, the grease pencil will stay the same shape, but the geometry will actually change size. Okay, so it's really important that you keep that there. Alright, now the same technique I showed you guys before to help me create these quads, because we are going to bend this shape, this mountain, so from the top it's not going to look like a straight line, it's actually going to curve like that in some sections. So that's why we're creating that. So I'm going to draw some vertical lines here, and those vertical lines are going to tell me where I'm going to place my vertices. Alright, so we're going to have a little more geometry here. So when I get finished with these vertical lines, it should give me a rough representation of where I'm going to place my create polygon tool. So when I get finished with the grease pencil tool, I'm going to close that. I'll press W, which is the move tool, and I'm actually going to zoom my screen in, okay, so you guys can see. So I'm going to hold spacebar, which is a shortcut. It's a hot box. I'll click on Mesh Tools, Create Polygon Tool, and I want to go counterclockwise. All right. So I'll start off here. I'll click there. So I'm not following, that line that I drew 100% because I don't want it to be extremely heavy poly count. I'll add one more there. And not to mention, I don't want to be using the multi-cut tool all day long to create these quads. One more here, and then I'll add one down there. Perfect. So now, there's this button right here. It's called Isolate Selected, or I could simply press Control 1. Control 1, press Control 1 again. It isolates an object, all right? Control 1, Control 1. This helps me to focus on what I need to do. So we'll use the multi-cut tool. Mesh tools, multi-cut. I'll add one here. Press return. There. There. Okay. So there's no way I can speed this up other than talk about something that is outside of Maya, like slip and slide. It's so hot out here in Florida. I wish I had a slip and slide. Have you guys ever made a slip and slide before, like out of garbage bags? Like you ever done it that way before? Oh man, I did it that way. Well, it was actually in college. You know, the fraternities, they were holding an event in the courtyard, and they just took a bunch of like heavy duty garbage bags and duct taped them together and put milk and ice cream, and people would just run down. They were initiating people, so they got to make their pupils look just dumb. I don't know. See, look, we're almost finished with the multi-cut tool. You guys are focusing on garbage bags and ice cream and slip and slide. See, you forgot all about me doing the multi-cut tool, right? Okay, not really. Like, that's number 89. 100. Almost there. Okay, so now that I have this shape, okay, we've got these perfect quads, and you guys are just like, woohoo, you're finally finished. So boring. Your voice is so monotone. I can't stand you. No one's laughing except my friend to the left of me. He will remain anonymous. Okay. So, this is my wonderful shape. Say hi, shape. Thank you. Okay, so that's my shape, and obviously it doesn't bend around this mountain. No, of course it doesn't, right? But we'll get to that part later. I want to dissect it. I want to cut pieces off and turn it into different layers. So I'm also going to use a multi-cut tool again, and I'll go from here to here, there, there, and then press return, right? All right. So now that I have almost like two different shapes, so let me show you that shape. You guys will place your mountains anywhere you want. I'm going to select all of these faces here and go to Edit Mesh, Extract. So now I have two different pieces of geometry, right? Pretty cool. See? Look. If I press W, I can move it up. See? Two different pieces of geometry. And what that allows me to do is kind of have this pop-up style like flavor to it. You see? I can put one in front of the other. Now I know what you're thinking. Well, if the camera is over here, then we're going to see the back of that mountain. I know exactly what you're thinking. So we can simply take a few of these existing vertices and actually add more vertex points to them by using the wonderful multi-cut tool. You guys need to be perfect, like experts with the multi-cut tool. So I'm going to click 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then press return. So now if I go to the vertex, I've got all these vertices to play with. Okay, so if I press 4, I can go to wireframe mode, and I can have a little bit of fun here. I could take all of these guys, move them over here like that, take these guys here, move them down, press R to scale them down, move them flat, and I'll use that as the very, very last shape. I'll take this one, I'll move it up like that. I'll take that vertex, I'll move it higher like that. I'll take this vertex, I'll move it low. I'll take that one, oops, and I'll do that. I'll take that vertex, I'll move it up, and then that one, I'll move it there. So now I have a different shape and a different silhouette. So if I go back to my perspective mode, see, here we go. And then you're probably wondering about the one in the front. So I'll just go to vertex mode on that and select a few of these vertices and kind of change the shape up like that. Move it down. Move this one down. Maybe over here. Kind of get it to maybe come down a little more. Move this guy up a little bit. Change the kind of transition. And I'll do that. Okay. And since I have this new mountain shape that I created, I need to add quads. And you can see how like my manipulator tool is over here. So I'm simply going to go to modify center pivot. I'll press Control 1 so I can isolate this guy. Then go to Mesh Tools, Multi-Cut, and then add that here. Press Y, click here, click there, press Y, there. And I am almost finished. Okay. Sweet. Now, I simply use the same technique. So I'll press Control 1 so we can see everything. The same technique that we had before. Okay. Modify center pivot. So we use the create polygon tool, and then we add quads, and then we just extract. And now the last step that we're going to do is bending this object. Okay, we're going to bend it. Okay. So I'm going to go to face. I'll select these 3 faces, maybe these faces here. I'll press B, and then I'll do that. And then I'll press Control to deselect a few faces, and I'll move it, guys, like this. Maybe I'll select these faces here. I'll press E, and I'll rotate it. I'm pressing B because that's the soft selection tool. If I hold B and then left mouse click and drag, it's going to have more influence. You see? Maybe I'll select these 2 faces and rotate it a little bit more. I'll select this object, I'll move it here. Maybe I'll rotate it like this. Voila. Right? Now if it's a little bit too bend and curvy, we can always press R and scale it flat. You see? And then the final step is to Control E, move it back or forward, right? And then we can add a little bit of detail to this, so we can change the offset and bring it down like that. And there we go. Okay. So there's our shape. So I'll repeat the same thing with this a little bit faster. So I'll select the face. I'll select like the outer edges. I think first would be better to bring it onto my shape, onto my island. I'll select these faces here. I'll press B, and then I'll rotate, press W, move it here, press E, rotate it, press W, move it there. I'll start to deselect a few faces. So let's press Control to deselect, press E to rotate, press W, move it forward. I'll press Control to deselect faces, press E to rotate it, W to move it forward, and then almost there. E to rotate, press W to move it forward. Voila. Okay. So now that I have this shape, Control E, move it forward, and then I'll change the offset, and I'll make sure that the bottom is touching. Press W to move it down, and here we go. All right. So you can move these shapes around until they look and feel about right. And we are on a roll. So that's how we create that silhouette shape. So the next part of the tutorial is how to create the cactus or the desert side, and we might add some like rolling hills in the background. We could simply just take a few faces and move them up like that to help the transition. That's that.